Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Hope everyone has been able to get some rest and enjoy your family and experience some joy over this wonderful holiday season. So belated happy holidays. As we are waiting to see if we're going to have quorum, although our meetings are hybrid, and thank you for all of those that made that recommendation that the meetings be more accessible, we have made our meetings hybrid, but there are still some in-person requirements of the committee, and we must have a quorum present here in the meeting location, not virtually. And at this point, we don't have a quorum present in the meeting location, and so I'm going to just give it about 2 minutes to see if Councilwoman Harris hears back from her colleagues to see if we can, if we will expect any other committee members here. And if not, we'll touch on a couple things on here, but we'll have to reschedule the meeting. So I apologize for the inconvenience and thank everyone that has come in person. And if Corporation Counsel Cummings is in the Zoom and can unmute himself, I think I heard some pushback to the terms of the meeting. If you could explain the quorum requirements to the community that is participating.
Good morning, Nicholas Cummings, Corporation Counsel. Yes, so the amended Open Meetings Act rules do allow for these type of meetings, but in order for that to happen, there needs to be a majority of the quorum present in the meeting location. I'm sorry, you have to have a quorum present in the meeting location, which will require 4 members of this committee to be physically present in the room. It's my understanding right now that there's only 3, and I see 4 of the members of the committee on Zoom, but I guess one of those members is actually present in the meeting location, so.
Oh.
You probably see me there.
Oh, okay, perfect. So with that, if we could, and this is not an official meeting because we do not have a quorum, but committee woman.
Information.
Yes.
So my understanding is that there's still committees that meet fully virtually. As to Council Cummings, is there not an allowance, particularly since we're seeing COVID rate spike for virtual meetings, and since it was listed, would this not allow us to just have the chair and a staff person present and then the rest of the committee virtual?
So there are two different ways to have a fully virtual meeting, and there are other committees, to your point, that have met virtually throughout 2022. We're in 2023. I'm not sure if the governor's disaster declaration has been extended. I have to double check on that. That would be the first requirement in order to meet fully virtually. The second requirement would be a written declaration by the mayor to state that it's and on file with the city clerk to say that it is impractical to meet in person for the boards, commissions, and committees, which is what we did in 2022. And I do not believe that that has actually come from the mayor quite yet here in 2023.
Thank you for the explanation, and I would like to state my expectation. Of course, I can't make any requirements, but the hybrid option really was for the convenience of the community and the participants. The expectation is that the committee, when possible, be present so that we can do our work in person, and that would be ideal. And so with that, I want to ask Committeewoman Claire, if you could read our ancestral acknowledgement just to ground us in why we're even here.
I'd be happy to, thank you. With great humility and deep gratitude, we honor the strength, endurance, and sacrifice of our Black ancestors. We honor those enslaved African people whose forced labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of our region and the United States. We honor those Black ancestors who persevered despite discriminatory laws and practices that created a racial caste system, legitimized anti-Black racism, and continue to plague our community today. It is only by recognition and understanding of these errors, begun during our nation's origins and continuing today, that we can hope to correct our path. We acknowledge this exploitation not only of minds and labor, but of our humanity. We grieve for those Black ancestors who, despite their contributions to the city's wealth and freedom, were never recognized, fully compensated, nor allowed to fully realize their own sovereignty. Because of their work, we are here and will invest in the descendants of that legacy. And through this process, we work to repair some of the harms caused by the city of Evanston. We also hope our focused attempts at reparations will serve as an example to the United States government and prompt other institutional accomplices to begin the process of repair.
Thank you. If everyone in the Zoom meeting can mute themselves, or if we can mute everyone in the Zoom, there are a couple things that I think might be helpful, and I'll make sure it's okay with my colleagues. There were some survey responses, and I think since residents took the time to actually give us some feedback and some questions, if maybe we just take the time to respond to those so that they don't have to wait possibly as much as another month for a meeting. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. And so we sent a survey out, one, in hearing from the community on accessibility to the meetings. There were questions about evening meetings, weekend meetings, and so on. And so we wanted to use our democratic process and hear from the community. It looks like the response was the majority 6 p.m. meeting. And if I remember correctly, there may be some potential conflicts with our council people because of how many evening meetings they have. So we'll have to make sure that we can continue to work forward with the 6 p.m. meeting with quorum with our council people. So I guess we'll wait to the next meeting to talk more about that after they can check their schedules. And then I thought it would be nice to go through this process because we want to make sure that it is inclusive as possible, that we are continuing to be informed by the community, by your feedback, your challenges, your recommendations, and we really appreciate when you appreciate our efforts here and collaborate with us. And so I'll group some of these responses together. I want to note that while there are some specifics that we'll respond to, there's quite a bit of thank yous and keep up the good work, and you are appreciated. There were some responses that the time change works. Is not ideal. Keep it at 9. And I think there were at least 1 or 2 recommendations for a Sunday meeting, which I wouldn't support. And I don't think we even have staff to accommodate a Sunday meeting. So forget about what I wouldn't support, let's say that. And let's get into some of the specifics from there. Breakdown of the time frames and status of the application. That is something that we can have staff prepared to do. But again, if you go to our city's website, it has there all of our timelines, when the applications were released, how long they were open, when they closed, when the random selection process happened, and when disbursement happened. But we can put a timeline together. I actually like timelines, so we'll be happy to do that. Hold the meetings in the evening so that people that work can attend. Okay. Yes. And so we've heard you loud and clear with, I think it was 34 of the participants gave that same feedback. And we're going to see if it's possible for our committee to make quorum with the 6 p.m. meeting. Live stream at a minimum. So I'm not sure if live stream is different than Zoom, but the meetings are live, they're hybrid, they're interactive. There is actually public comment even for those that are virtual. So I think that was a later comment that there was public comment for virtual participants, and in fact there is. I think an earlier meeting time limits participation, so that's another meeting one. When will we receive our money? That is the question. One thing that I'm very happy to report is that the committee's recommendation to City Council was successful in passing an additional $10 million, and that will come from graduated real estate transfer tax. There is a creative way that the funding will be dispersed, front funding, enough for us to disperse all of the ancestors. So as of now, we have a council approval for the funding that we need to disperse all of the ancestors. And so we'll get to what's keeping us from that disbursement next, not much. And committee, chime in anytime, or if you want to take the second half of these questions on this page, or you want to keep going this way, just let me know. Sure.
Let me ask you, are you addressing all of?
Yeah, we're gonna, some of them are about time, so we don't have to get into those, but we're gonna go through this since everyone
Okay.
set aside the time.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. How much has been received year-to-date from donations, marijuana, real estate tax, and general fund? How many families have actually gotten repairs on their homes? And how many expenditures have to charge against the year-to-date fund for reparations? Please explain what these expenditures were for. So I read that verbatim. I have an English teacher mouth, so I just read it verbatim. I don't know if we have answers to that right now.
Yeah, so we don't have any, there have been questions about the administrator, the first administrator of the program, and there were no cost or fees that went to the not-for-profit that administered the first 16 disbursements. The year-to-date marijuana, real estate tax, general fund, so we continue to receive this question, and there are laws beyond us, state-level laws that keep us from giving the exact amount of marijuana tax that is collected. But there was a interesting public comment that was made, and I've asked for more direction on how we might consider, now that we do have real estate transfer tax coming into the reparations fund, marijuana tax, we have some public donations as well. Is there some way that we can report back on what a total fund is? Now, the immediate thinking is, well, if the real estate transfer tax can be disclosed and the public funds can be disclosed, then you can just, reverse engineer it, back out the math or whatever, and still get to the answer. But I have asked staff to meet with Hitesh to find out how we might put these funds together and give the community a report on what's actually in the fund. Announce to the public the meeting dates and times in the roundtable news. So these meetings are standing meetings. They really don't change unless something like this happens. Looks like we're going to have an additional meeting. And so we can do more to get the information out and use the roundtable possibly as a outlet to do so. Host open community forums and make transparency a committee value in the conflict of interest with Robin Ruth Simmons chairing the and participating on the committee. So thank you for that concern of my conflict. And I'll say that before I accepted committee work and when I made the transition into doing reparations work full-time now internationally and nationally and beyond my city, I did have a approval from our corporation council. Nothing has changed with my work outside of Evanston, and I am of the opinion that it's an added value for me to be able to share what's happening in the world as it relates to reparations here in our community. And please chime in.
Can I add to that?
Mhm.
Some of the questions, I think it would be helpful to reiterate in the meeting. First of all, to thank everybody for being engaged, to reach out and take the time to comment and ask questions. That's really valued. I think in our meeting we could encourage people to and direct them to our section on the city's website that keeps you up to date. So if it may be appropriate and desired to do additional notices, for example, in the roundtable, but say you don't have your roundtable with you, can navigate, where can you navigate? Get used to navigating to that page for some updates and just to refresh yourself. Most of us have our phones with us. We don't always, but we can access things that way. So our annual meeting cadence is published there, and you can mark it on your calendars. Updates go there too.
And can I jump in real quick? The other place you can find it is on our city calendar, and you can have it added if you have a Google or different forms of calendar. You can have it added automatically. That's what I do. I go through, so you can have it added to your calendar. If you use Google or something like that. Not everybody does that, we understand.
Another thing, I have to say, this is the first Evanston committee on which I have served, and it's been an education for me. So I did not know, some of what I can add to the conversation before I went through the process myself. But before you officially go onto the committee and annually, we have to fill out a conflicts check, and we have to send that into the city, and they go through that. So every committee member has already gone through a conflicts check. There are rules about that. The city has rules, the state has rules, and so our legal and our different team in HR and everything checks that. They keep that on record. We are obligated to update that. And what some people may view as a conflict or what, we have to follow the legal definition, and those things are looked at quite carefully and discussions are had. So I hope that may make people feel a little more satisfied about the process that the city goes through. It is formal. It's not just for us. It's for all of the committee members and council members, etc., the people who serve Evanston. Every person goes through it. It's quite rigorous. So I hope that gives people some comfort. Issues of conflicts and questions about sort of what the committee members do outside have come up a couple of times. And so I just wanted to mention that. And again, I would not have known that had I not gone through this process. So I just want to share that information with the community.
And there's an ethics. So
there's ethics.
There's two forms that you fill out and must be registered with the city clerk annually.
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm sorry. Announce to the public the meeting dates and times, Roundtable Evanston. And again, it is listed on the city's calendar, and if you check that, you'll get reminders. So I encourage anyone who does use your phone or calendaring type of organizational tool to do that. You can go almost a year out and get dates. Host open community forums and make transparency a committee value.
I think we
did that one already? Okay. Text me, I miss emails.
I think that's a great idea. So I know we have texts for like street cleaning and other things. I wonder if there is an option to have text. Now we would have to.
You have to opt in. We'll have to opt in,
right,
and be able to provide. Again, on the city webpage, so we can talk to IT about that.
So let's figure out, so we have a listserv already of emails, and so we can send out an email, possibly. We can ask staff to send out an email request asking for text and see what's involved in that process, if it's an option. I don't know if it's only for public works, because I don't remember ever receiving text for council meetings or anything like that.
No.
So
and they
we'll
just link. I assume that looking at the ones that I do use on the text I receive is probably going to link you to the reparations
Right.
link you to the website.
So let's find out if that's an option.
I just want to note that as the former city clerk, our office used to send out texts to remind folks who aren't high propensity voters about elections. So there is software out there that's very affordable that could be used for these text reminders.
Thank you.
That's great.
To make comments during Zoom meetings.
We can. So if that wasn't clear, there's public comment.
The meeting notice issue, so I'm going to move on. Some more meeting notice and hybrid suggestions. Making sure residents are aware of the program, creating a safe space to express challenges, making sure the board is available for the residents, more surveys to get feedback from the residents. I think we probably have covered that from the listening, the surveys. Thank you for also mentioning Dr. Tillery's survey that's going on now. And so I hope that those responses have also addressed the concerns of this.
And just in terms of a timeline with Dr. Tillery's work, we will make an announcement as that progresses in terms of when you might see them in community, door knocking, and so on. He has a very extensive rollout, and so we'll try to keep everyone updated as much as possible.
The next comment is the extra 1.25% tax charge by the city of Evanston introduced during the pandemic didn't go away. Who do you think that hurts the most? Low-income people who can't afford the 10.25% sales tax, or people who don't even notice this change? You think lowering the buying power of the most vulnerable and then bragging about having a reparations committee is a good move? I think this is the question and the sentiment expressed here. As the committee, we are a committee of the city of Evanston, and I think I've asked one of the council members to speak to that, but this is perhaps more appropriately raised to be addressed at a Evanston City Council meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the funding ones.
Yep.
And then we're almost done. Meetings should remain as they've been. Why change them? And then, so I think that completes the survey.
Perfect. And so what we'll do is there are some immediate actions that are really helpful that we'll follow up with on staff. The rest are, continuing to inform us on how we can better do this work, and we are listening. So that is one thing we want to make sure that we hear every public comment and make some response to it. We can't take any action. Some of this other discussion is going to be more important to have in person. There were some questions earlier that I received from the roundtable on the testimonials. That is also in response to community feedback. Community members want to continue sharing oral history, reporting on why reparations. We need to continue to strengthen the case for reparations, and it will continue to inform our work. And our hope is that other institutions in town are paying attention to this process and beginning their work in repair. So grateful to see Saul Anderson from the Evanston Community Foundation here, who has been paying attention to the work, and that has changed the way he is, leading the organization at the foundation and valuing repair. And so our hope is that Saul be the example for other leaders in this community for them to pay attention to this process. So the testimonials will be 3 minutes, and it'll be a space for residents to come and share experiences of discrimination, anti-Blackness, why reparations, so that we can continue to hear and build and strengthen our case. And then lastly, I think we should just make this announcement because the time is going to pass by the time we meet again. This youth art contest, details are on the city website, but there is a deadline extension, which I thought I saw was the 9th.
Yes, January
At the
9th.
bottom, January.
So January 9th, if you have anyone participating in that, please let them know. And so that we can end at 10 o'clock as we decide on when to reschedule this meeting officially, we do have One bit of information that I would like Council Cummings to share as it relates to transparency and the reparations fund. And then after that, we have 4 people signed up for public comment. And so if we could go with Council Cummings first, and then I'll call the names for public comment.
Good morning again, Nicholas Cummings, Corporation Counsel. There's often comments or questions about the dollars that are in the reparations fund, and the city does report monthly or quarterly on the city's webpage the amount of money that is in each fund, including the reparations fund. It can be found on the city's budget page on the cityofelvanston.org. You go under the government link and go to budget, and in the top left-hand corner, there's a link for financial reports. The financial reports are usually about 2 months behind, so right now you can get the November 2022 report. But that is a way for the community to be able to see what is in the reparations fund, even though we cannot specifically report how much money we get from adult use, cannabis tax, and the like. You can see how much is actually in the fund itself.
Thank you. Any comments on that from the committee before we get into public comment? Perfect. So we have 4 signed up for public comment. We are going to honor our elders and start with the Bennett Johnson.
I'll defer to the next official.
Okay, perfect. And next we have our City of Evanston cheerleader, Vanessa Johnson McCoy.
Yes. Oh, hi, everyone again. So, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity when you're signing up. It says you want to make public comment, so of course, yes. And I don't really have anything specific to say except Happy New Year. Oh, there is one thing that I would love to share. During the Reparations Symposium, I was able to go on the tour with Dino for the first time. And so, because of the work that you all do, thank you very much, and have done, it has been, as Claire said, so enlightening. So to hear the history, and Dino is amazing, he has so much history and knowledge about Evanston. It's my first time at Shorefront. So to hear the history, and then leading up to the work that you all have done, and then my work as a realtor, like putting it all together, it just, so many light bulbs, and it was just so inspirational and enlightening. So that was like something that I think Luke had said he wants all of the city to go on, the city workers. I think that's a great idea. I mean, like all Evanstonians.
Did Luke go on a
He
tour?
was with us, yes.
Shout out to City Manager Luke Stowe for just being present and supportive and the leader that he should be. City Manager Stowe has really been participating and supporting and leading, so I'm glad he went on the tour.
He did, and he said that he'd like for all the city workers to go,
And
staff to go on.
And we're working on that with some other initiatives.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's all. I was just saying that was really enlightening, and it really supports the work that's being done when you hear the history. So that's all. Thanks for all that you all do. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Being informed makes all the difference in understanding this very complicated process and difficult work that we're doing. Saul Anderson.
I just wanted to quickly add that for that tour, our Leadership Evanston class does a similar tour with Dino Robinson through Shorefront. So if anyone's interested in participating in that, we're in the middle of the class now, but in the fall we'll be taking applications for next year's program, or later this summer, excuse me. So Leadership Evanston also provides that's a similar tour.
So I just have to say this, excuse me, I know this, the hour is late. I'm a Leadership Evanston alumni, and shout out other alumni in the room. Okay, all right, Ellie, okay. So, but my point is that I was so inspired and informed and well equipped to be a leader in the city of Evanston by going through that program. And it was that tour that I took with Dino that stayed with me. And when I launched these national symposiums that we had, we had to have it. And so the first one that we toured was actually 3 years ago when we had that initial town hall. And it changes the light bulb moment, all of that. So if you have the time, I think Leadership Evanston even has like a snippet program if you can't do the full 10
It's
week.
on hiatus right now.
Okay, my bad.
Paused because of the pandemic, but
Okay.
we're bringing it back.
But please do, if you want to understand how this city moves, where policy programs are made, its history, how we got to this place in history, if you want to understand how to get things done with people that are doing work, I highly recommend you apply for Leadership Evanston. I do believe they have grants available. So our next public comment is Judith Treadway. And I think Ms. Treadway is virtual. Is everyone unmuted? Would she be able
She
to,
should be able to unmute herself.
if she's here? So, and then after that, we have Indana.
I'm here. Should I wait for Mrs. Treadway?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead,
I
Indana.
don't see her on picture.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So I just wanted to make, well, Happy New Year, everyone. I wanted to make 2 announcements. We are having 2 events for the City of Evanston's participatory budgeting. The next event that's coming up will be for MLK Day weekend on January 14th at 3:15. Just in case you guys aren't aware, the City of Evanston has a remaining $3 million of ARPA funds, and we are looking for the community to come out and help us come up with ideas on how the city can utilize this remaining $3 million to help the city get back on its, help our families get back on their feet, help our small businesses, and to help to do a number of things. The next event is Saturday, January 14th at Fleetwood Jourdain at 3:15. And then the next one will be held by the NAACP on January 26th at 6 p.m., also at Fleetwood Jourdain. And that was going to be a little bit different. We're going to be inviting the community as well, but we're going to be speaking more specifically about the overall community, the 5th Ward, and Black businesses, community-based organizations, and talking about the greater community. So hopefully we can get some more people to come out to both the events on MLK weekend, January 14th at Fleetwood, and also the one that's being hosted by the local NAACP on January 26th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. And Donna, if you don't mind sending me in whichever way you want to communicate with me, the
I'm
King.
sorry, couldn't hear you.
Can you send me the King Day events so that I could make sure it's added that you mentioned? You mentioned one for King Day?
The 14th.
Yes, I did send you the flyers.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
if I may, just quickly, I just really want to plug this and encourage folks to participate in the participatory budgeting process. Again, residents will get to directly vote on how these funds are spent. It's $3 million. There's a PB experiment, participatory budgeting experiment done in Chicago, in the 27th Ward, which is a primarily Black neighborhood. The largest voting group in that PB the trial was young African-American men between the ages of 18 and 24, specifically because they wanted a skate park built in their neighborhood. And so I just really want folks to dream and dream big and get young folks involved. We got to make sure the Black community is well represented. This is a great opportunity to get additional funding to support maybe not directly reparations, but the goal of reparations and the aspirations that we have for our communities. And so it's just so critical that folks, particularly folks of color and marginalized folks, show up.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Reed. And lastly, we have Ms. Tina Payton.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a safe and happy holiday. I would also like to state that it is very
Have a good day,
important to
Annette.
continue, if you don't do hybrid, then continue Zoom. As you know, after the holidays, the virus is spreading widely, and it's important that you have meetings on Zoom or hybrid to let the people participate that are immune compromised. Also, as far as the meetings in the evening, there are many people, Black people, that work during the day and that are not allowed to excuse themselves from work in order to participate in the meeting. One suggestion might be, if you do an evening meeting on Friday, it is only just once a month. So Friday usually are not other city board meetings or city meetings. So Friday would be a good day in the evening to allow the people that is supposed to be represented by reparations to participate in the meetings. Also, I wasn't clear if Attorney Cummings was stating the city budget included the total amount for reparations is on the city website, and maybe that number could be included on the reparations website. And also, I will ask continuously about cash payments, and I have not heard from Attorney Cummings, which stated he found a way for cash payments to a committee person here, Carla Sutton, and I was there when he stated that. So I would again encourage him to speak about cash payments. And of course, I'm advocating for that, and the application should be open again for cash payments. Also, I will continue to say that if I heard you attempt to address the money being reported, so I will say again that it should be the donated money, the weed sales, and city funds all be combined, and you will not know how much it is because you have different donations come in every month. So if you report at least quarterly, you would not know how much is directly coming from the weed sale tax. I will say again, the money should be held in a bank with interest-bearing account. No non-for-profits should be involved in distributing or holding the money. And a third party should oversee the money. I would also, again, ask that the mayor be present at some time and discuss his relatives getting cash payments as he has at other meetings around the city. And I also would say that reparations should be reiterated by the Committee of Reparations in Evanston. Is a difference between the Evanston reparations and any other reparations. From what I understand, that the reparations here in Evanston was supposed to do the city's discrimination, to repair the harm that the city of Evanston has done to the people of Evanston. And I think that should be reiterated and not so much on the slavery aspect of reparations, if I'm correct of what the reparations means here in Evanston. And there also needs to be more support from the Reparations Committee and the NAACP and any black committee in this community for people that are being harassed by the city of Evanston currently to this date, because that's what reparations is about. So when people do not speak about the harassment or that someone is being harassed by the city, and the reparations and NAACP do not speak about supporting that person or those persons, because there's many people being harassed by the city, then all of the work towards reparations will be null and void, because that is the plight of reparations here in Evanston. So we need to see more support from the black organizations to end the harm that is being done consistently to the
An evening meeting time would allow working individuals to participate, possible addition of proactive and more notifications of upcoming meetings. We've talked about that. I will just interject that evening meeting is going to be hard for council members. We have so many council meetings, we have so many events that we have to be present at, not that we do choose to be, but this evening we have something for the 5th Ward. So evening events or evening meetings are going to be virtually impossible.
It's going to be trickier for them.
Yes, we won't have quorum, especially in person, because we all have different committees we sit on. So we'll look at that and do the best that we can, but we do have other city obligations, people have other obligations. I work, so I make an amendment in my work schedule to be here early, and then I work later, the days that I do morning meetings. So we do try to accommodate the residents and people that are interested, but I wanted to go on record and say that I have a 9 to 5, but I make adjustments in my calendar to be here and to be present, because that is so important to me. I could be hybrid, but I'm going to show up for my people whenever I can. So we'll take that into consideration. Meeting time is the greatest factor in participation. The next one is a long one. To let the 5th Ward original African American residents know that the Harley Clark Mansion and Coach House really belong to us. This was his gift to the 5th Ward, knowing how badly the African American residents were treated in Evanston during the time and even now. I have relatives that lived in the 5th Ward long ago, yet I have encountered the same discrimination in the 8th Ward, along with redlining and other words arts of Evanston. So I think it means other wards and parts of Evanston. Yet we have all these other people continuously moving in Evanston while no one has really done for us. This coming year, we, with God, help see more real respect for our community and not just immigrants and refugees. Yes, it is a welcoming city, but to who and why? We are beautiful people, but don't go into another year using and disrespecting. My love and prayers to my community in the 5th Ward and the hard-working residents, also in the 2nd Ward and 8th. Ms. Tina Patton, I love you, strong, powerful, and beautiful spirit in everything that you do as a true woman for the cause. Have a beautiful and safe holiday season. Yes, it is a season to be jolly with victory on the way. Love, the 5th and 8th Wards.
Awesome. So information, and I think that we note this. I don't know that there's an action to be taken, but if I would love to know that the Harley Clark was left to the 5th Ward. I mean,
Yeah,
this is,
I'll ask more questions.
if it was, then we need to talk about that. So I don't know what that means. Information in the Park or Levy Center newsletter. So great. I think that's an excellent idea. I don't see why we can't do that.
Director Thompson could probably.
Perfect. So I'm making a note. any way we can get the information out is great, is welcome. Please let us know at least 2 weeks before the meeting. So again, this meeting is standing. You can set your calendar for the year. And in fact, there's an annual meeting schedule on there. We had to vote on it at our last meeting. Keep positive, keep strong, more advance notice for the meeting. Again, it's a standing meeting. Saturdays aren't going to work for the committee. Just get more work done. Disperse funds for recipients now. I couldn't agree. I second that. Keep up the good work. Your efforts are greatly appreciated. And Claire, if you want to do the next.
Yes. Have informal neighborhood meetings, get feedback strictly on criticisms and doubts, host seminars, Q&A sessions with experts on all levels of repair that constitute reparations, outreach to business organizations. We have had town hall meetings, and I hope that many of these, our aim is in the organization and, you know, just putting together and inviting the different speakers from the town hall meetings to educate the community and to bring experts in. Our last town hall meeting, we had recipients from the Jewish community talking about Holocaust reparations and Japanese community. There's been some, so there's been some people from the interfaith communities. There are events around Evanston where people speak about it, and often, you know, we'll ask a committee member to talk about what's going on with reparations and so forth. So I want to encourage people to access those meetings. I think it would be, I really love the survey in that perhaps you have gone to those meetings, and perhaps those meetings have not been useful for answering specific questions that you that you have. And I think I'd love to have a way, and I think the survey was a really great start of bringing forward those questions so that we can try to answer them. I'm not sure if the town hall meetings were too formal and people wanted more informal neighborhood meetings. I'm not sure.
I think that's what I'm hearing is that some residents want to have a dialogue, some want to have a debate. And I'm all for it. So I talked about us getting into having community listening sessions where the residents can come and have their way with the committee. I think that's what the request is. And I believe that's healthy and could be productive, and we'll do it as long as it's productive. And so I would like to schedule quarterly listening sessions where it is more informal, and our town halls have so much rich content and expertise, and it's more learning, and fairly the participation has been limited. It's been either a written question, a response at a later date, or that sort of thing, but we have been having town halls. The last one was at Second Baptist Church, as mentioned, and we would love to have more participation than we have had in the past, but let's plan to have quarterly community listening sessions that will be expected to be informal. And so there is not the frustration of a delayed response. And so right now, we have a way, we have all kinds of ways. We have public comment here. We respond in various ways, sometimes immediately, other times through changing our policy, our direction, the way that we're thinking on committee. That's how we respond. The committee members are accessible. We all live in the neighborhoods that you live in, and so you can reach out to any one of us at any given time. But let's go ahead and schedule these listening sessions. And there we can have an expectation to have a dialogue with some decorum. And we can continue. So early in our reparations process, we were doing more town halls virtually and bringing in experts. And maybe we can look at having an expert presenter do a presentation before the community dialogues or something like that, if there is a need for more ongoing education. But one thing I highly recommend is that you pay attention to what the interfaith community is doing. There's incredible amount of work, resources. There is a major event that they're hosting on the
15.
Thank you. Do you want to, can you share details of that, if you don't mind?
No, that would be fine. Hi, I'm Birchburg. I don't know if this works, but I
Okay.
can just talk.
Perfect.
Well, the interfaith community has been collecting, well, a lot of members of the interfaith community have tried to collect money within their congregations to support this through the stakeholders, the Reparations stakeholders fund. And an announcement will happen on the 15th at Faith Temple?
Faith Temple Church.
Yes, thank you. I know exactly where it is, but I was forgetting the name. And my problem is I'm not remembering the time of that. I have it on my calendar.
3 o'clock.
Thank you. It's 3 o'clock. Vanessa, can you guys co-share this announcement? Give the address to Faith Temple Church of God in Christ. And
I've been so excited about this.
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. Vanessa A. Johnson McCoy. The address of my wonderful church, Faith Temple Church, is 1932 Dewey, with the honorary name of Bishop Carlos Moody Avenue, 1932 Dewey, which is at Foster and Dewey in Evanston, 60201. Thank you.
Right.
3 o'clock.
Right across from
Fleetwood
Foster
and Family Focus.
Foster
Family
School.
Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and.
Perfect.
So that'll be a special service about that, and, yeah, the film that is, when will that be shown?
that is on the 16th. So in addition to the interfaith community's special service at Faith Temple Church of God in Christ, the following day on the 16th at the theater downtown Evanston, is it, what's the theater name now? AMC. The AMC Theater downtown Evanston, there will be a free screening of The Big Payback that is co-hosted with the interfaith community of Evanston.
Yes.
And all are welcome to attend that as well
What?
at 6
Oh,
o'clock.
great, okay,
Yeah.
because that's also the time of the Walk for Warmth that day, it's the Walk for Warmth for Interfaith Action.
But it's later. It's earlier in the day,
That's
right?
early, sorry, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, the walk is at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
and this is at 6
Yeah.
So
p.m.
you can walk and then come relax.
Yeah.
Big payback.
What's the walk? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the.
Walk for warmth.
It's a fundraiser for Interfaith
Oh.
Action.
It's all the
Um,
shelters in the community.
Oh,
Yeah.
All the faith-based shelters in
Oh,
Madison
And
County.
the soup kitchens.
And it starts at First United Methodist.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Claire, you want to continue?
Sharon, one of your other committee members that are participating via Zoom has their hand raised.
Who is it?
It's Connie, good morning.
Good morning and
Good morning, everyone.
Happy New Year.
I'm just wondering, I thought that the big payback was gonna be shown on PBS on the 16th. Is that still occurring?
yes, so the Big Payback will have its national broadcast on PBS 10 p.m. I believe it's 10. By the end of the meeting, I'll get you the exact, I should know. But it's on the 16th, it's on PBS. After the broadcast, it will be streaming on PBS for 90 days, and after that, it'll be streaming everywhere, everywhere. So thank you for bringing that up. And we hope everyone is able to tune in. There are hundreds of Evanstonians that are featured and seen, and it really shows all sides. It's not one-sided. It is very true to the conversation that is happening here in Evanston, and it has inspired and informed other communities. It's 9 p.m. here. So there's, if you go to the PBS website, the broadcast dates, if we have anyone tuning in other states, are there, but it's 9 p.m. here.
And can I just ask Tashik if we could do a press release for all of our participants about all of the events on Dr. King Day related to the reparations?
Great idea. So Tashik is on vacation now, but we can get in touch with Patrick that runs that department and see if we can get approval to get the faith walkout. So Saul and
Yes.
anyone that could give us any information on King events, if you could email it to Lolita. Could you share? No, you're not up for it. Email it to me, and I'll send it around to staff. Email it to robin@robinrue.com, and I'll make the request to staff to get out a press release with all the King Day events. That's such a great idea. Thank you, Committeewoman Lockhart.
I have to apologize, my voice is about to go.
So if there are any other King Day events that weren't mentioned here, please email me at robin@robinrue.com, and I'll get them out. Committeeman McFarland, you want to?
Yes. So on to the next one. The next statement is about changing meetings to weekends, Sundays. I think we've addressed changing the meeting time. To allow the community to have their own meetings on subjects they feel important, and then introduce via speech or minutes their priorities to be concerned. I think I think it's really important, and I think that the quarterly listening sessions, suggestion and implementation will cover that. It's important for a couple of reasons. First of all, that our communication becomes more spontaneous. But it's also important for the speakers in the community, it's important to feel heard. And I think, I just want to say I understand that. I think most of the committee members understand that. Sometimes to be heard even when a solution is not directly available, but just to be heard outright and to feel you've been able to express that clearly is really helpful. Both for the speaker, it's also helpful for the community. Sometimes we talked about testimonials at the beginning and so forth. Other municipalities that have undertaken this have found that residents' testimonials and direct expression of concern help those who may not necessarily have been interested or supportive, have been felt negatively about reparations, or just not been interested or supportive, to really understand why this issue is important. They understand the impact more fully, and that will, hopefully advance, I hope, positive feelings, but at least, if people, it'll inform their conversations. So I hope that will be addressed there.
Let's try for a hard stop at 10, since we're going to be adding another committee meeting.
I'm going to skip the ones that deal with the time change. I honestly think they should survey all Evanston residents to see how they feel about reparations more generally. I find this all counterproductive and think there should be instead more focus on better schools, better policing, better public services, especially for people most harmed by discrimination in the past and present. Again, I think that's those different views, airing that at the listening session.
And let's remind everyone of the work that's being done by Professor Al Tillery and his survey. So some of that will come out there.
And I don't think one precludes the other. So all of these things can be happening simultaneously. It isn't one or the other. As a city, we should be working on all of them simultaneously because they're interwoven, and it makes a difference. You can't just do one to move to the next. So,
okay. The other comment is about hybrid meeting. Then I have many ideas, but to be honest, I think people who have worked on this issue have done a yeoman's job of bringing this all about. Thank you for saying that. I thank you for your efforts, because some of the time, the next decade, 2030s, my family will have been residents 100 years. And I am sure none of my relatives would have ever thought something like reparations for longtime Evanston residents would happen. So thank you to all the members who brought this to fruition, and please keep up the good work. I think I'll just say thank you for that comment, and because we have several others to cover, I'll just move on to the next one. And we very much appreciate the encouragement. Start discussing, addressing the atrocities that occurred with the redlining, replace the lost black housing/households. The marijuana tax should go to correcting criminal records ASAP. Offer non-fee tutoring by accredited tutoring facilities and services for students to begin to close the achievement gaps from the suspensions and the classroom teaching biases in the school. Provide GED free to students suspended and discouraged from ETHS in past situations. I'm just going to quickly say I love some of the suggestions, and that people are already starting to think about some of our other components we talk so often about, and a lot of the press nationally and so forth is about the housing components, but we do have education and economic development coming. Thank you for the opportunity to emphasize that, and thank you for the suggestions and the thoughts that we'll begin to flesh those out more.
And quickly, there are programs that do correct or work with the criminal records. And at Oakton Community College, one of the many hats I wear, we do offer free GED classes and matriculation through that program.
I wonder if there's some way to publicize when the meetings are planned. Okay, I think we've covered those.
This date, we need more representation from you as a committee for reparations, NAACP, and other Black organizations. I hope in 2023 that we can let our voices be heard and have some support. Thank you. Black lives always matter, and I hope everyone has a prosperous new year. Thank you.
Thank you, and with that, we will send out an announcement on if we will reschedule a meeting before our next regularly scheduled meeting. And continue to reach out. We will respond. We hear you, and all the best in the new year.
Thank you.
Thank you.